Across 10 videos in this series, we covered 10 financial mistakes that quietly cost everyday people hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Delaying investing, high 401k fees, the wrong emergency fund, paying off a low-rate mortgage too fast, the wrong life insurance, miscalibrated asset allocation, claiming Social Security too early, losing money to inflation in a savings account, poor asset location, and the root of them all, procrastination dressed up as prudence. In this video, we're going to do the one thing no single episode could do on its own, show you how these mistakes connect, how fixing one often makes the next one easier, and what the whole action plan looks like when you stack all 10 solutions together. This is the complete money mistake masterclass. Let's walk through every one. Quick note before we dig in. Everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial, investment, legal, or tax advice, so always talk to a qualified advisor before any major money decision. And this channel uses an AI-generated voice and an AI avatar presenter. We like being upfront about that. Every mistake has a cost. But delaying investing is unique because it's the only one whose cost compounds. Every year you wait costs more than the year before it. A 25-year-old investing $400 a month retires with about $2.5 million by 65. That same person, starting at 35, retires with about $900,000. That 1 decade of delay cost roughly $1.6 million, and it came from skipping only about $48,000 of actual contributions. This is the root mistake because it feeds everything downstream. The investor who delays is often the same one who later overcorrects with too much risk, who panics in a crash, who hits 55 scrambling to catch up in ways that create brand new mistakes. The fix. Start now with whatever you have, even $50 a month. The compounding clock starts the day you act, not the day you feel ready. The average 401k charges far more in fund fees than it needs to, and most investors have no idea what their expense ratios even are. Many have never once looked. Here's the stakes. A 1% expense ratio versus a near zero one of about 0.03% on the same $500 a month over 30 years produces a difference of around $205,000 in your final balance, just for picking one fund over another inside an account you already have. The fix takes about 15 minutes. Log in, check your expense ratios, find the lowest cost index fund in your plan, move everything there. That's the whole thing. And notice how this links to mistake one. That fee drag compounds over time exactly like delay does. Starting early and in low-cost funds is multiplicatively better than doing either one alone. The emergency fund mistake isn't only about the wrong amount or the wrong account, though both matter. It's really about what happens to your investments when you don't have one. Without a real emergency fund, life events, a job loss, a medical bill, a dead car force you to sell investments. And if those hit during a downturn, which they often do since layoffs spike in recessions, you end up selling at the worst possible moment. That's the cascade. No emergency fund, forced sale, locked-in loss, permanently smaller portfolio. The entire value of an emergency fund is that it breaks that chain. The fix. Figure out 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Open a high-yield savings account. Fund it before you invest beyond your 401k match. And treat it as insurance, not as savings. At a 3% mortgage rate, every extra dollar you throw at the mortgage earns you a guaranteed 3%. That same dollar in an S&P 500 index fund has historically returned about 10%. That 7% gap, compounded over 15 years on $500 a month of extra payments, adds up to roughly $180,000 in wealth you gave up. This one ties to a bigger theme. Comfort and security and paying off debt does feel good. Sometimes fight against the math of maximizing wealth. The framework. Below a 5% rate, the math strongly favors investing. Above 7%, payoff gets competitive. Between 5 and 7, your personal risk tolerance legitimately gets a vote. But either way, max out your tax-advantaged accounts first. For most people with dependents, the right life insurance is term life, the simplest, cheapest form of income replacement there is. Whole life, despite some very aggressive marketing, is the wrong product for most buyers. Look at the cost gap. Around $600 a month for whole life versus about $55 a month for the same death benefit in term. Invest that $545 a month difference in an index fund for 20 years, and you'd have somewhere around $415,000. The whole life policy's cash value over that same stretch, roughly $75,000 to $100,000. The fix for most people: call your insurer, buy term, and invest the difference. If you already own whole life, review it carefully before canceling, because surrender charges and tax effects need a real look first. We're halfway through all 10. If this is already saving you money, take 1 second and subscribe so the next breakdown like this finds you automatically. Too conservative at 25 and you leave a decade of stock returns sitting in low-yielding bonds. Too aggressive at 62, and a crash can permanently scar your retirement at the worst possible time. For people near retirement, sequence of returns risk is very real. A 40% decline hitting at the same time you're making withdrawals digs a mathematical hole that growth alone just can't refill fast enough. The framework. Use 110 minus your age as a rough stock allocation. Revisit it once a year. Rebalance once or twice a year. And if you'd rather not manage any of it, a target date fund does the whole glide path for you automatically. Claiming Social Security at 62 instead of 70 can cut your monthly benefit by up to 30% permanently. Over a 20-year retirement on a $2,000 primary benefit, that gap comes to roughly $260,000. Before you even count cost of living adjustments. The break-even age, where waiting overtakes those early payments, usually lands somewhere between 78 and 82. And most people who are healthy at 62 will live well past that. For married couples, the higher earner waiting until 70 protects the survivor benefit, which is one of the most financially important moves a couple can make. The lower earner can claim earlier to bring in household income, while the higher earner holds out. Standard savings accounts pay as little as 0.1%, up to 0.5%. High-yield savings accounts at online banks pay 4 to 5%. Both are FDIC insured. The only real difference is whether the bank shares the returns with you or keeps them. The fix is a 10-minute account opening. On a $20,000 emergency fund, the difference between a standard account and a high-yield one is about $800 a year. For medium-term savings beyond that, I-bonds and treasury bills give you government-backed options with competitive yields. And for long-term money, 5 years or more, the market's historical 10% makes almost anything else a guaranteed underperformer. Asset location, which account holds which investment, can save you $2,000 to $5,000 or more a year in taxes on a $500,000 portfolio. Tax-inefficient assets, your REITs, bonds, and actively managed funds belong inside your Roth IRA or 401k, where the distributions are deferred or completely tax-free. Tax-efficient assets like broad index funds are perfectly fine in a taxable account because they throw off so few taxable events through their low dividends and low turnover. So audit your accounts. If you've got REITs spinning off dividends in a taxable brokerage while your bonds sit in the Roth, think about swapping them. The savings from the right location are permanent, and they compound. Every mistake in this series has a known fix. Most of them take 15 to 30 minutes. Most need no special knowledge beyond what we've already covered. So the final and biggest mistake is knowing exactly what to do and not doing it. Waiting until you understand it better. Waiting until the market calms down. Waiting until the timing feels right. Time in the market beats timing the market in every historical study ever run. The best strategy isn't the theoretically perfect one. It's the one you actually execute today. Every mistake you leave unfixed is compounding against you. Every one you fix starts compounding for you. Here's the thread tying all of it together. Every mistake in this series lives in the same gap, the gap between knowing the right move and actually making it. Fix mistake 1, delayed investing, and the emergency fund gets easier to build because now you understand what it's protecting. Fix the 401k fees, and the savings can fund that buffer. Get the life insurance right, and the premium difference can feed the Roth IRA. Dial in your asset location, and you simply keep more of the returns the market already gave you. These don't exist in isolation. They're connected, and fixing them in the right order builds momentum that makes each next fix easier than the last. So start with the highest dollar, most irreversible one. For most people, that's either delayed investing or claiming Social Security too early. Then work down the list. Take one action this week, another next week. The system builds on itself. Quick reminder, everything in this video was educational only, not financial advice. And this video was made using an AI-generated voice and visuals. 10 mistakes, 10 fixes, and 1 decision that determines whether any of them actually get handled. The decision to act. If this series gave you a clearer picture of the mistakes to avoid and the fixes to make, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this is worth sharing, and it helps the channel reach more people who need it. Subscribe for a new video every week, and go back through the individual episodes for the deep dive on whichever mistake hit closest to home. One question for the comments: which of these 10 was the most relevant to your situation, and what action are you taking this week? I read every single one. We'll see you in the next series.